Just a second. Great. Okay. So I just want to quickly introduce the host of this particular webinar. So Gautam, we have Gautam here. Gautam, can you please say hi? Yes. So Gautam is from RB. Some of you might already know Gautam. So as a part of giving it back to the community, helping community grow, he's helping us curate like multiple things with Glific. So have hosting this webinar as a part of it. So most of the session would be led by Gautam. Gautam, over to you.
Thanks, KP. Could you just share the rights to present? So in the meantime, guys, we had asked you to come prepared with 3 questions. If you could just take 2 minutes to quickly just share your responses on the chat, it'll be great. Does anyone need me to repeat the 3 questions?
Yes, could you repeat the questions?
Sorry?
Could you repeat the questions?
Sure, I'm just putting these in.
Yeah.
I'm pasting it in the chat so that everyone has access to it. 1, 2, and 3. Yes.
Some of you can answer the questions on chat as well. And if you feel free, you can even unmute yourself and speak.
Just inviting any 3 responses. Thanks, Team KF. Since there are organizations, I'm going to just invite 2 more organizations. Janvi ji from Maina Mahila Foundation, and let's say Gaurav from TAP. Could you just paste in your responses?
Sure.
Anybody else who wants to share? Else we can proceed. I mean, this is not a question we usually get asked a lot.
Can I just say, can I just speak it rather than?
Sure.
Yeah.
May I know
To the first one, we recently reviewed the dashboards in the with our admin view to figure out that we needed to actually build a bot because we received a lot of questions that were, in the private chat. and there was no question answer flow that was a little bit more intuitive. And so the health of our bot is that we're still in the initial stage. And yeah, we are assessing at every point what strategic decisions to make. And at the end of this call, I hope to also hear how others are using their training database to create a very contextual bot, and also see what kind of strategies they use to kind of get their team up to speed with it. Thank you.
When you say training database, can you elaborate a little bit more?
Sure. So when I say training database, so when you integrate the bot with Jugalbandi or Bard or GPT-4, naturally you have already existing knowledge bases that it comes with. But then you have a separate database from the areas that you work in. So when I say training database, I mean the data that you receive from the field, which helps inform a lot of the contextual awareness that the prompts have.
Understood. Great. If there's anyone else who wants to share, I'm just quickly scanning through the responses. Thank you, Udyam. Thank you, TAP. Thank you, India Literacy Project. Kamlakar, Vemula, thank you for responding. I'm not sure which organization you are with. If you could just add the organization name to your name in Zoom, that'll help a lot. Awesome. Very exciting. So welcome to the first of the conversations around the health of the bot. I'm sorry, right? Very clearly, this is the first of many because we believe that health is something which is not a static conversation, right? Depending on where you are in your journey, you will have different levels. Some of the questions will be common, but as you grow, as you become more complex, the questions keep getting added. Today's flow is like this. We want to spend 1/3 of the time on introduction and context setting. We'll learn a little bit about everyone else on this call, which you can do through reading the chat. Very, very clearly stay with the problem statement, understand what we are trying to do, set boundaries so that we do not stray, understand the target audience, their points of view, why they will ask you questions to determine health, right? At the end of this exercise, the section about boundaries is completely an exercise. At the end of it, we will be able to draw summaries of health parameters. The idea is that we work together. It'll not be something where we are completely guiding you. We will guide you to a bit, but then ideas that we also co-create. After that, we'll review 2 dashboards, depending on the time, and then we'll have a little bit of a conversation on what next, right? Any questions so far? If not, I mean, if you have questions, please put it in the chat. If not, we can move ahead. Right? We've done this bit. So what is this problem? What is the problem statement for today? We're going to stay with what is the health of my bot, right? We will discuss what health means. We will understand who are the people who will ask this question, but beyond that, we will not go. We might not go into performance metrics at this point. We will stay with key parameters which will help us understand is the bot functioning as we expect it to or not. Who is this for? This call is for anyone who has to answer the question either by the donor or by board or by the managers or by the team or by somebody who's running the programs in their organization, saying, is the bot going okay? Is it functioning as it's supposed to function? Right? This cannot be just a single call. It has to be a series of calls or a series of conversations, because as we level up, as we build our own capacity to answer this question about the health, we will become more advanced in our capabilities, and we will have to add a few more parameters to answer these questions. I will pause now. any questions, please put it on the chat. If this meets your agenda, please let us know. If it doesn't, please ask us questions. The chat window is open for next 30 seconds. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Are we okay with the agenda for today?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Awesome. So now let's go into the first set of activities, right? First, I think it's important for us to be clear or who are all the different people who will ever ask us the question saying, how's your bot doing? Right? We call them target audience. Let's also understand what their intention is. I'm sharing a Jamboard link here. And I invite all of you onto the Jamboard link. If anyone needs any help in opening this Jamboard, please let me know. We are also using the Jamboard because tomorrow this can become your source of, coming back to. So we have almost everyone on the Jamboard. Let me quickly introduce the structure of the board. We will put in different potential target audience. Target audience is people who will ask you questions about the health in yellow. So for example, you can see I put in board member, right? Any organization's board member can ask, hey, how's the bot doing? What's the health? Right now, we do not know what the health means. That's fine, right? But they might ask us this question. There might be donors who might ask us this question. Anybody else who might ask this question. Let's just take 2 minutes. Does anyone not know how to use a Jamboard? If you don't, please unmute and please ask. I can show you how to do it. If not, please go create a sticky note. Just paste in different people who can ask you about the health of the chatbot. Does anyone need a primer on how to use the Jamboard?
I do. This is Vinita here.
Hi, Vinta.
Hi, I do. So,
You can see my screen, right?
yeah.
On the left, there's a menu kind of thing with different icons.
Okay.
The one below the pointer is something which looks like a note. If you press it,
So
right?
this is what comes up.
Yeah, this comes up. There are different colors. So let's say you want to paste in a target audience. Can you just name a target audience? Target audience is somebody who will ask you the question, what's the health of your bot?
All right.
Right? So I might just say teammate, right?
Okay.
And all you have to do is then say save. Now, once you're done with that, you drag this here. I'll come to the next part of it. So
Yeah.
team, if anyone wants to do plus one, just use the blue sticky note, paste it next to the target audience and just add a number. So we have a product manager, we have team working on the bot. I'm removing this teammate since there is press to org leadership, great. I already see somebody is going to the next bit of the activity. Thank you so much. The next bit is basically you again create a sticky note, but this time you pick the color green and then try to understand why they will ask this question, right? A teammate might ask the question to see if you need any help, right? So you then bring it here. Since there's already a product manager and there's one product manager here, I'm just going to remove this one and do a +1. And I'll ask a few questions. Somebody has written volunteer as a stakeholder, somebody who will come and ask what's the health of the bot? Is it doing well? Is it performing as required? Whoever wrote volunteer, can you please elaborate or give an example of when and how a volunteer might ask this question? Whoever wrote volunteer, can you please unmute, and or anyone, because I see multiple people having written volunteers, can you elaborate? Okay. I have not so far been asked how's the bot working by volunteers, unless it's like a very casual conversation. So unless somebody objects, I'm going to move volunteers to one corner and shrink it. We already have board member, so I'm removing board member and I'm just doing a +2 here. Board member goes, right? Org leadership, definitely. Somebody said community members and beneficiaries. Community members and beneficiaries might not ask you about the health of the bot. They might come and ask you, why is the bot not working the way we want it to work? Why are we having these difficulties? Unless again, they're asking from a casual conversation lens, or if they are your touch points on the ground, right? So whoever wrote beneficiaries, community members, if you have any specific, yeah.
Gautam, actually, that was meant who for whom this chatbot is for. I mean, they will ask why this chatbot is being introduced to us. So that with that intention, like who will be asking why is this chatbot for is them. So I wrote it in that thinking.
Fair
I might
enough.
be wrong. I might
No,
be
no, no.
wrong.
You are absolutely right when it comes to the beneficiaries. But right now, we are going to limit ourselves to only one problem statement. If somebody asks us, hey, what is the health of the bot? Is it working the way it is supposed to be working? Right? We are only going to limit ourselves to that
Got it.
conversation.
Got it. Got it.
So I'm
I,
parking
I,
this.
I joined a little late, so
No
maybe
worries. No
I need to
worries.
catch up. Thank
No
you.
worries. Right? We had somebody who has written school leaders, teachers, government officials. Um, Government officials definitely might ask, teachers might ask. So can I consolidate this with your permission and call them partners? Whoever has written this, if you do not agree, feel free to.
No, yes, Gautam, that makes sense. That was me.
Right? Great. So I'm just going to call this partners. Any partner, it could be a non-profit partner as well, right? Let's say you're working with somebody, they might ask you this question saying, hey, is the program going as we expected it? Is the bot working? So I'm leaving partners there. Very, very good point. I'm removing this board member. Tech partners. Definitely. I put tech partners here. Team working. So it's been 4 minutes. I'm just going to kind of pause, right? Did this slide or did this kind of thinking help anyone? Did it kind of give you a nuance in the way you're thinking about who might ask you about the health of the bot? I would just like to invite any two responses. Yes, no.
Gautam, I think this is actually really great because not only do you get to um, articulate your thinking while you're in the flow of the entire tech implementation process, but also others' point of view, which is in some ways so similar to how you are thinking. So
Thank you so much. Thanks, Janvi. I'll invite one more response.
So, Gautam, for me, I'm thinking about what still, health consists of. It is somewhat, it is making me think ki what will be the question also, but it did invite me to think in different ways, thinking about what is a bot's boundary, and it can be anyone who can ask us about bot. It can also be a Glific team who can ask us ki what is your bot's health basically, and they can reach out to us to introduce to new features or support something like that. So yeah, I was invited to think about that one.
Fair enough. That's a great way of thinking. I hadn't thought of it that way. But the objective of doing this is now at least you start seeing where each of these people might be coming from, right? Board members, for example, might also want to ask you this question to see if they can introduce any talent to you, right? So I'm just going to copy paste this. Um, at any point, feel free to come back to these slides, add things so that others can understand. Introduce, right? So things like if you can actually detail this out, it'll help you understand where they're coming from. Now we can go to the next part of this activity. I'm just also calling this out. Um, we had initially planned a slightly more broad agenda, but seeing how things are going, I think it'll benefit us all to slow down a bit and maybe go a little bit deeper. So maybe we might not go into all the dashboards, right? We might just finish putting in these questions, use this to kind of redo a certain bit of the dashboard and schedule another call. Is everyone okay with this? If anyone is not, please unmute and share your disagreement. It's perfectly fine. We are co-creating this process, so disagreements are always welcome.
If you could just go through the dashboards that you have thought of briefly and then go deeper into one, that might give us an overall sense of what all have you guys thought of.
So, Sahaj, the only reason why I'm kind of proposing that we stick with going deeper into this is the next activity, now that we have understood who are the people who can ask us this question and why they might ask us, is to go deeper into these questions, right? So, for example, a board member, right? I've only taken one part here, a board member who will ask us this question to make sure everything is okay, to see if we need help, to introduce talent, to do their duty, which is oversight. We will then go into ask, what are these questions? Now, somebody told me this beautiful line saying that an art, if repeated enough times, becomes science, right? Um, so I think when it comes to the health of the bots, there is some amount of science in it. Certain things which are already understood, right? People might ask you, how many users are there on the bot? People might say, okay, let's determine your bot by seeing how many people are active and responding, right? Or how many users have you been able to retain? But beyond that, because of the kind of work we are all doing, there might not be very clearly defined metrics. We are working together in a way to create these definitions and these metrics. So I would propose, let's finish these activities. If we have time, 100% we'll go through the dashboards. If not, we'll give you a sneak peek and then we'll close it. If it's of use, great. If not, please feel free to give us feedback. Is that okay, Sahaj?
Sure, sure.
Great.
So we can, okay, sure. Yeah.
So now what I invite you all to do is let's move to the very quickly to the next activity. I will give us maybe 5 minutes. Pick each. So in each of these Jamboards from Jamboard 2, right? Please pick one target audience and paste them there. So let me just do one activity here. Team working on the chatbot. I'm just going to paste it on 4. Now using a pink sticky note, write all the potential questions they might ask. Please go make it pink. How many users in total, right? They might say how many users added in a time frame last week, this yesterday, etc. Right? Then what else might they ask? Your teammate might ask you uh, how many stopped using the bot. So feel free to make it as simple to understand as possible. Right? These are some questions. I'm sure there are more. Pick any target audience of your choice and feel free to pull in the questions. Or I can do one more thing. In the interest of time, I'll ask you to pick one target audience you would want to kind of go into greater depth with. Can I have all of you please go into your chat and putting who you think is the most important person who will ask you this question. And based on that, we can go into making uh, the dashboard or going into the dashboard. Thank you, Sahaj. So Sahaj says tech team, product, or team working on the bot. I didn't understand the second bit, wondering if you all mean the same thing.
I mean, there are three post-its here, right? Product manager, team working on the chatbot, and tech partner might mean a different thing, but product and team working on the chatbot are typically internal teams. So probably we are referring to the same TA.
Fair enough. So one response is the team. I'll invite the others. Priyanka Rishram, thank you. So you have written two things. One is TL and donor. Pick one. I'd invite the others to quickly put in your responses on chat. It'll help us to kind of pick up space. Thank you, Priyanka. Which organization are you from? Could you just and put that in there as well? Thank you. Others? Thank you, Tap. Thank you, Sark. Just going to do a very quick count. The others? KP, can I invite you to just call out some of the org names?
We have India Literacy Project. We have Maina Ahila.
Team, donor, org, leader. So we have one team.
I think team is something which most of them are picking, Gautam.
Great.
You can go ahead with that.
So let's just go with the team. I'm just going to go to slide 4. I'd invite everyone here to just put in whatever questions your teammates might ask you to understand if the bot is working the way it is supposed to or it's the way it's expected to. Can we just take 3 minutes for this activity? Put in as many questions as you can. Then we'll just review the questions once. Please remember these are questions on or questions to understand is the bot working as it is supposed to be working. Performance, maybe nudges, etc. I don't know if they'll ask you these questions when it comes to nudges, but go ahead. I think I see where you're coming from.
Hello, sir. This
Yeah.
is Sabarikya from India Literacy Project.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm having a small doubt, sir.
Sure.
Actually, we are just working with students. Okay.
Okay.
We actually see how many students we reached through the chatbot.
Okay.
That's what we are looking for. For that, how we can do like this? I can't understand what you are telling.
Sure. So you
Our
made a bot.
partners and all, using their own, they are also give our number, the common chatbot number.
Fantastic. Right.
We will use that. Okay.
Okay.
For them, we will just give this much students we reached. The overall, not their own only. Overall in Tamil Nadu or something, how many students we reached, we just fill that one.
Perfect.
This only our NGO country manager. He is the one who will ask the reach of the students. Beyond that, they won't ask in detail the in-depth questions and all. How we can write in this?
So perfect, ma'am. So one you've already given. You're saying how many students you have reached. Typically, if I'm connecting the chatbot to my students, I'll want to know how many of them are engaging. Are they happy? Madam, just imagine this like a conversation. I think when we the simplest way is to imagine chatbot like a person, right? Just imagine you're having a conversation with this person called chatbot.
Okay, for us
Just
it will like comes like students. Student is a beneficiary, right? So that
so
we
for
have to
for
tell.
for a minute, madam, you forget the beneficiary just for 1 minute, right?
Okay.
You are working
Okay.
through the chatbot, right? Imagine
Okay.
chatbot is like a teacher. Imagine
Okay.
you are somebody who's connecting, you are speaking to the teacher, you will have a different set of questions, right? You'll ask, how are my students? Are they nice? Are they behaving well? Do they listen to you? Is any specific student misbehaving? Who is the brightest student? What time do you start the classes? Is it going on time? Is there any material needed? All these kind of things are what you'll ask a teacher.
Okay.
Right? So similar way, madam, we can simplify understanding the health of a chatbot to that. If it's a chatbot, it is only digital. How many people are there? How many are responding? How many are not? What are they responding to? What are they not responding to? When are they responding? Is there any gaps? As in, are they coming to some place in the chatbot and just stopping responding?
Okay.
Right? How many of them are continuing? Is there any feedback?
Okay.
These are certain things. So we just have to, at least one suggestion, madam, is that you think of the chatbot like a person.
Okay.
Then it becomes very easy to have a conversation about how the chatbot is doing.
Okay, sir.
I hope this helped, madam. If it doesn't, please ask questions. Similarly,
Okay.
anyone else on the call, feel free to kind of stop and ask questions. I quickly reorganize the post-its. We have a lot of questions, which is very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just quickly pause, everyone, and ask you, did this single slide help you think of new questions which you had not thought of? Is this helping you? Is this not? I acknowledge that there are people on different levels of the chatbot journey.
Yeah. I did have one question, Gautam. Sorry.
Sure.
There is a question on flow that has been coming up a lot. And when we say flow, I'm interpreting it as a backend flow. So for people who are not product designers, can you explain what a question like if the flow breaks or something of that sort, what does that mean? And how can that translate on the front end?
Fantastic. Would anyone else want to take this question? Because I know there are multiple orgs here who know what a abrupt stop in the flow is. Great. I'll just go ahead and answer, Janvi. Typically, what happens is a flow is basically like a. So these are all the chatbots we're using right now are called rule-based chatbots. There's a particular structure. Question one, for which there'll be an answer. Then there'll be question two, for which there'll be some answer expected. Then question three, right? There might be a rule saying this is the kind of response I want. I want a number, I want a location, media, has to contain these keywords, whatever it is. Now, let's say the user 3 times does not enter what you want. For example, let's say I've asked the user, please share your current location on WhatsApp. Typically, how do we share current location on WhatsApp? We go to the attachment or pin icon, we click on location, and then we click on current location, right? And let's say and I've written a rule saying that wait for response, and that response has to have a location, right? If the user types in their location, I'm in Bangalore, I'm in Baswangudi, I'm in 560004, and it is not what the bot expects. If you enter it 3 times, the bot goes to something called as an abrupt stop, right? It just stops sending messages. So in the front end, if you're referring to the user experience, they'll have entered something. They don't know how to correct or put in the correctly expected response, and the bot just stops responding. They have no clue what's happening. If you are speaking on the front end as a Glific team member, in the chat, you will see conversations, and then you'll just see suddenly it left stopped. If you go into the user profile of that particular person, you can see abruptly stopped.
So basically, on the front end, the user will feel like the bot no longer knows an answer to that, or
it just stopped responding.
Yeah.
That's as simple as it is for the user. Right. Great. Any other questions? If not, I'll quickly bring this to a particular closure. Was this slide useful? Let me ask the question. Was it not useful for anyone? Or is anyone feeling that this is too basic?
Honestly,
Vinita,
Gautam, it's too technical for me.
is this too technical?
For me, because to be very frank, as I mentioned, we are just started exploring chatbots. So,
Okay.
its implications, how it will be, how useful it will be. So, this is like, I think, step 2. Maybe someone who is
Fair
already
enough.
using chatbot and, they have queries. So, this is best for them.
Fair enough. My hypothesis, Priyanka, is that at least some of these questions might be things which your teammates are thinking, but might not be articulating. When they're asking you, is it working? How's the experiment going? Are you happy? Are you not? These might be some of the questions they have in mind.
Okay.
Right. So it might be useful for you to kind of start seeing this, like one of the most basic questions is how many users are there? All right. So I'll go into this. I will share maybe a sample dashboard and then see if it's of use to you, right? Anybody else who would want to quickly share a response? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is introduce something called as the basic basic chatbot health dashboard. It was designed to be slightly generic with the belief that once we collate questions from you, we can look at what is being asked and then see if it can be added. I'll quickly run through the questions and then we can go into the dashboard. Question number 1, how many users in total? Question number 2 is how many have stopped using the bot? There are 2 ways people can stop using the bot. Either they opt out saying, I don't want messages, or they just don't respond, right? 3, how many users added in the time frame? 4, what time or the day of the bot is more active? Then somebody might say, where are they dropping off? Why? Uh, how effective are nudges is a more advanced question. I'll hold on. Is the accuracy of response the only metric for success of the bot? Definitely not. But again, I'll park this. How many are registered on the bot is similar to how many users in total, right? So I'm just going to shift this there. How many users are completing the expected flow? Definitely something will be people will ask. Um, what if nudges don't go on a fixed date? Can they be recent? Definitely. But I'm just going to park this. This is not a question which people will ask when it comes to the health of a bot. Are there any glitches in the flow of a bot? Definitely something they can ask. How much of time is being spent on a node? Maybe it's a more advanced question, not a basic question, but definitely something which we should look. How to find number of teachers, again specific. Is the end user able to provide feedback to improve? Definitely something which is a good question. What flows are working, are not working? Great. I'm now going to present this chatbot. I've used a limited sample data from Saturday Art class. Thank you, Saturday Art class, for giving us permission to use your data and to do this demo. I will now I'll share this thing, and if anyone wants, you can copy it and replicate it to your own bot. We start off with the most basic question. Please remember, this is not a this is data only till the 27th of April, right? So therefore, it's a representative data. So first thing which you asked was how many users on the bot, right? This is basically how many users have been added. So that's the first question. So you can see there's 126 people who have been added. Users who messaged today, you will see a small discrepancy. Anyone wants to kind of guess why this discrepancy is there?
Glyphic stimulator count hota hai.
Thank you so much. If you use Glific simulator and if multiple people are using it, the number will increase, right? Because the user is not necessarily added on the bot, you will not see this. Instead of saying, there was a question here, which was, are they giving feedback? Instead, we use the parameter saying help. I'm sure you all know that there's a keyword called help, which starts the help flow. We can actually see how many people are reaching out for help. One thing which somebody told me long ago was that this is a chat bot where a human also plays an important part in answering questions, right? And if you do not hand over to a human at the right point, the bot does not work in like a program and forget kind of way. You have to have some human intervention at the right points. So this help flow is a very, very great example of how it can be done, right? Then we had a question saying how many people have opted out in Saturday art classes. Example data set, nobody has opted out, so the count is 0, right? The graph below is very interesting. Somebody asked me, I think that was Janvi. Janvi had asked me about the bot abruptly stopping. I don't know if Janvi is, yeah, Janvi is there. Janvi, this is how it looks. You can actually find out when the bot has abruptly stopped.
Gautam,
Yeah,
can you put it in view mode so that like I can see it clearly right now? The letters are very small.
sure. Is this better?
This is
This
much
is better.
Great, great. Right. So this is the every chart has an explainer below, right? This is the so you can see that on the 6th of May, one person's flow has stopped abruptly. On the 16th of June, 8 people's flow stopped abruptly. On the 14th of July, 5 people's flow stopped abruptly. This starts giving you an idea of what is happening on the bot. Ideally, numbers should be as close to 0 as possible. Higher the number, higher the spikes, unless you have manually terminated flows for a collection or for somebody, it should be as low as possible. You can make this chart more detailed by adding something called as drill down. On purpose, we have not implemented drill down as of now, but at least you know, is the chat abruptly ending for users or not? The next graph answers the question, when do we, when are the users most active, right? This is called a drill down, these arrows up and down. This has been the activity, right? Incoming messages every single day. Right? If you hover on any number, you will see on the graph, you'll see how many people. You can press the drill down to move from dates to day. Right? In Saturday art classes data set, people were most active on Fridays and on Saturdays. The next most active day was Tuesday. If you hover, you can see how many people it is. Then you can again drill down. So from day, you're now going to the day time. Now you can see at 11 a.m., the highest number of users were active. Then followed by 1 p.m., 2 p.m., and then it starts declining. So if you have to do,
Gautam,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I had a question. How does this kind of a dashboard influence decision making? Right off the bat, if you can give an example of it, it would really help.
Sure. So let's say I have created a flow for Saturday art class. Let's say this. So I'm going from the left, right? Total number of users won't make a difference. Number of people messaging today in this particular use case, not too much of a difference. If let's say that flow has a component called help, right? Let's say I've given lesson plans and I've told people, if you need any help, click this button to ask for help. Then this counter, people who have asked for help, becomes very important, right? Opt-outs and launch is important because if suddenly after launching this new flow, people have started opting out, then I have understood that there's something wrong I'm doing. Now I'm coming to this graph. Imagine this graph is so far flat and suddenly I see a huge spike. I know that probably somewhere in the flow there's an error and people are getting stuck there. Right? So it helps me immediately diagnose and try to figure out what's happening. Now, let's say I have an updated version of the flow, right? And I want to figure out when is the best time to put it out to the users, right? If I want to start it, then I'll come to this graph. I will see which day. I'll say, okay, Fridays and Saturdays are the most effective days. It looks like 11 a.m., 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. are the most useful times. So on Friday and Saturday, I will start these flows for different collections. So then highest number of people will get exposed to the flow we have redesigned. This is month-wise thing. So at this point we can post. Does this answer your question, Janvi?
Yeah, it does. It definitely does.
The next one is basically a very interesting chart. Okay. Here you can see this thing as contact. I will show you a particular data set. I request that it is not shared outside, right? Can you see this graph? Every time you send a message out, it's just like how we send our friends WhatsApp messages. They might read it, they might respond to it. It might not even reach them, right? Let's say there are so many outbound messages which the bot has sent. A percentage of it is read when the user clicks on it, opens the chat bot, the chat bot on their phone. It's counted as a read. Let's say it's reached their phone, but they have not yet read it, it's counted as delivered, right? If it is sent, but it's not yet reached their phone, not even. So in another example, red is double tick, blue, right? Double tick, but not blue, gray is delivered, right? Sent is single tick, one single tick, right? If there's an error, sorry,
I
does
think
any,
you can continue.
yeah, right? These two are errors. It can be enqueued or there could be an error with some numbers. So these two are indicators. So if you're sending any messages out, ideally it should be majority read, maybe delivered. Between read and delivered, ideally it should be a lot of read compared to delivered. But compared to the other three, which is error, enqueued, and sent, ideally our stats should be higher on these two. So this chart helps there. I'm coming back here. Any questions on this particular graph for anyone? How does this help? If majority of the users are reading it and not taking action, or if majority users are just not even reading it, then you know that's a very good reason to investigate more with the users. Is the bot being of value? Is it adding? Or is it helping? Is it becoming spam?
Gautam, one quick question.
Yes,
Start
please.
today. Would it also not help if we, try to visualize the messages that the users are sending back to the chat? I mean, just at a count level that, when there were these many messages sent by different users to the chatbot.
That comes here in the inbound.
Oh, okay, inbound.
Right. In this case, because we have not sent out, I mean, Saturday Art Class hasn't sent out any broadcast messages.
Oh, okay.
You won't see this, but then if you apply this to your own data set, you'll probably see this analysis.
Got it.
Right.
Thank
And the description here should explain why it's important to see inbound as well. Right. Then we have the most active flows with the unique number of users for that day. We have a simple retention chart saying per month how many people you started using the bot and how many of them are continuing to use it year month on month, right? It'll look something like this in this sample data set. July we had 5 users. Out of the 5 users in the month of July, 5 used it. In the month of August, 4 used it. So we lost 1%. Right? In the month of August, we have 91 people in this sample using it. We can then, we'll have to wait for a month to see how many people are continuing using it. Right? After that, we have put in something which is saying conversation costs. These are just numbers. I have linked it to a random static data set. But if you implement a template which we'll share with you on mail, it'll then actually link it to your chatbot's data and you'll be able to see very quickly what are your costs. In one single shot right now, more or less you have a rough understanding of the health of your bot. I will pause for any questions. Again, a big thank you to Saturday Art Class for sharing their data set. Open for questions.
Gautam, I have a question.
Yes.
So this is an inbuilt dashboard for every flow that we are creating?
It is based on the same. So all of you have connected your chatbots to BigQuery.
Yes.
Right. We're using the same tables which are already there, and we have built this layer of logic on it. So if you copy, so you go here and you say make a copy, it'll ask you saying, please connect your data source. If you connect the tables, it should work.
Understood. So it'll be for all the flows, right? And every time we are creating new flows, we'll have to go refresh.
No. So in terms of health, the flow data will be taken into consideration here. right now we're not built in any, your flow data analysis will come here in the number of unique users, right? Apart from that, we have not enabled any filter for a flow level at this point because we are specifically looking for health. But in the next iteration, definitely you can do that. Any flow you create, the data is the same. How many users get added, how many users use it, how many people, how many times does it abruptly stop, when are they active? So you're covered.
Got it. Okay,
Any,
thank you, Gautam.
thanks, Gaurav. Any other questions?
Yes, one very quick question.
Yes,
Is
Sorry,
there a
Kalindi, just a minute.
Sure.
Like as we are at the end of it, like as few people are dropping off, so I'll just quickly launch a poll to get a quick feedback. It will not take you more than like 2 to 3 minutes. Meanwhile, the questions can go on. I just want to give a heads up. So in case you're dropping off for another calls, please finish, like do the feedback so that we know, because we speak a lot about data, so we also need data to see if this session was helpful, like so we curate sessions according to your needs as well in future. Okay. Kalindi, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, just a very quick question. Is there a recommended frequency of, of these messages? So I mean, um, should we look at the daily count of messages, a weekly count, monthly count?
It depends on your use case,
Mm.
right? Let's say you are somebody delivering content 3 times a day. We saw somebody who was giving young parents content and they were doing it 3 times a day. So then for them, the frequency is multiple times a day. If
Yeah.
you're somebody who is into education, maybe you're delivering content once a week, then you just need to look at it weekly. Whatever is your frequency of reaching out.
Hmm. So ours is a mix. I mean, there is one part of the content which goes out weekly. There's one part of the content which gets launched on a monthly basis. So, I mean, we were thinking of building such a, I mean, creating such a visualization on a monthly count. Then just wanted to check because I mean, we hadn't thought of actually putting it on different flows, which is a very good visualization that you have on the right side, bottom right, which are the
What do
top.
you like about this one?
Where is it? Yeah, name of the flow, unique users on this flow, something like that. So this sparks a lot of ideas.
Fantastic. Would love to kind of brainstorm if needed. Um, but I would suggest you use the lowest time denominator to kind of make your visualization. So if you're doing something weekly, put it weekly because then um, you won't have to recreate something much later. But thanks for asking, Kalindi.
Thanks for explaining that.
Any other questions?
Gautam, can we view this particular dashboard?
Sure, I will share the link immediately after the call. We will send a link, we'll send a mail out that this link will be there. All you have to do is, like I said, go into the option and then say make a copy.
Got it. Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Gaurav. Anybody else? Any other questions we can help you with? Our objective is, since we are talking about data for the first time, we understand it might be very overwhelming. All right. It might even not make sense. So feel free to kind of ask us any question. There's no right or wrong question. Question is question. I will now pause. I mean, while I wait for questions, KP, would you want to kind of do the closing thoughts?
Definitely. Yeah. Before maybe we can just quickly announce on the 2 programs that we have, Gautam. Can you keep sharing your screen?
Sure.
Yeah, the last 3 slides. Guys, please fill in the feedback. I see some of you are already filling in. It's quite helpful. The PPT. Or the last 3 slides. Gautam. Yeah. Okay. So some of you might already have applied for this. Data Catalyst is a program there which we are started to build capacity within the organizations for creating the data strategies, building a data culture to see what data, how to look at data, or how you can take data-driven decisions. So some of you must have already applied for it. So you would be getting the results, I think, like not the results, the status update by tomorrow mostly. And this will be on an ongoing basis. After this cohort is done, we'll be starting with another cohort. So in case you haven't applied or haven't gone through this particular one, we strongly recommend you to for getting the next set. It's just not for the chatbot, it's in general as an organization, how you can be more data driven. So that's something which we want to share. Gautam, next slide, please. So we have a boot camp coming. So if you like, boot camp is a offline onboarding of the organization. So if you know some organizations who have who work at scale, want to communicate with their users on a regular basis, and you think the chatbot has been helpful in your journey, so please do recommend Glific to them. You can just connect us to them and we will further take the conversations. And the advantage of this bootcamp is it'll be like a in-person bootcamp at 2 locations in India. And for the first 3 months, there wouldn't be any cost, like except the Gupshup and the WhatsApp cost, which is not in our hands. All the Glific cost, which will be around like 97,500, which you can see on screen, which includes the setup cost. The subscription fee for the first 3 months is completely waived off if somebody is attending this bootcamp. So like it would be, and we will also be working closely with them in terms of making them understand how to design conversations, how to design the chatbot. It'll be very helpful in general. So that's something which we wanted to just highlight. So please do recommend if you have some organizations, and if any organization is coming to us through your recommendation, you'll also be getting more additional consulting us from our end. So please contribute in growing the community. Thank you. So these are the registration dates. If you are interested, please DM me or like email me. I'll share more details. Thanks, Gautam. Great. Like you, if somebody is still answering, if not, I'll end the poll. I think we are good. Thank you so much. I'll